10 rock singers, accused of worshiping the devil, drenched in dark imagery. Some with inverted crosses and satanic lyrics printed in all caps. Some with guillotines and boa constrictors on stage. Some who made congressional hearings happen because of what they were putting into the world. And every single one of them ended up on their knees before something higher. Some of these will shock you. At least one will completely change how you hear a band you thought you knew everything about. Number 10, Kerry Livgren, Kansas. Carry On, Wayward Son. If you've ever cranked that opening riff in a car or a bedroom with the volume up where it belongs, you already understand why it exists. You don't need it explained, but the man who wrote it was in the middle of an ongoing spiritual emergency that would eventually fracture one of the best American rock bands of the 1970s. Kerry Livgren was Kansas, the primary architect, the songwriter behind a band that sold over 14 million records and defined what progressive rock could be in America. And woven through all of it, through Dust in the Wind and Point of No Return and Carry On, Wayward Son itself, was a man genuinely, seriously asking a question he hadn't yet found the answer to. Dust in the Wind is Ecclesiastes with a guitar. Vanity of vanities. Everything dissolves. He didn't know what he believed when he wrote it. He just knew that fame and craft and critical respect were not the answer. He'd already been through Buddhism, Hinduism, the Urantia book, a serious examination of everything available. Searching the way some people only search when they're completely out of smaller options. Then in 1979, on a tour bus between shows, the opening band's lead singer started debating scripture with him. Bible versus the Urantia book, night after night. And Livgren kept expecting to win the argument, and kept not winning it. July 25th, 1979, 3 in the morning, a hotel room somewhere on the road. He got on his knees, and then the fallout. Because the moment his lyrics started moving toward Christ, the lead singer walked out. Tensions fractured the lineup, the way faith sometimes fractures things. He said later, "The minute there was the faintest aroma of Jesus, I started seeing fireworks." You've probably had a conviction that cost you something real, a career direction, a version of yourself that everyone around you had already decided you were. That's not weakness, that's faith, with an actual price attached. Number 9, Lou Gramm, Foreigner.
Don't know if I can face it again.
I Want to Know What Love Is, 1984.
Oh, yeah.
One of the most nakedly emotional performances in the history of rock radio, and it somehow managed to take a hard rock band and make every station in the world play them simultaneously, which almost never happens. Lou Gramm sang that into something that doesn't need explanation. You felt it. The gospel choir arriving like a change in weather, his voice bending towards something it can barely contain. Most people heard a power ballad. In retrospect, it sounds a lot more like a question than an answer. What most people didn't know is that by the time that song was everywhere, Graham was already looking for something the music wasn't providing.
I gotta take a little time.
He moved through different expressions of faith across different years, methodical and private, not dramatic.
The changeless, lonely life.
Eventually, he found a non-denominational church in Rochester, New York, and said it was the first place that felt genuinely like, come as you are, no performance, no credential check, just the words and what they actually meant. And if you've ever found yourself in a room like that, after years of looking, you know exactly what that feeling is.
There's been heartache and pain.
Then 1997, a brain tumor. The kind of diagnosis that reorganizes everything in your life in a single conversation. Your priorities, your fears, your relationship with the hours in a day. He survived.
There's been heartache and pain, and I don't know.
And in those years of surgery and recovery, the faith wasn't a dramatic scene. It was quieter. A man who'd been walking around something for years. And during the hardest season, finally stopped walking around it and walked in. He went on to a solo career that leaned openly toward faith. No press release, no brand pivot.
Looks like love has finally found me.
He just became a man who had, in a very specific and hard-won way, found out what love actually was.
I can't stop now. I've traveled so far.
The song in 1984 was a question. The answer arrived 13 years later in a hospital room.
Let's look at the numbers. Only 9% of you are actually subscribed. Honestly, that's tough to see. Our team spends days hunting down archives and verifying every single fact just to tell these stories right. If you've made it this far into the video, you're clearly part of the community, so please hit subscribe. It costs nothing and helps us immensely. Now, for those already subscribed, very few of you have made the jump to our membership, and that's a hard pill to swallow because you're the ones who know our value best. If this channel has moved you or inspired you, consider joining. It's the price of one coffee, but it's the literal fuel for this channel. Let's keep this alive together. Back to the story.
Number 8, Bob Dylan.
About having to be scrounging your next.
November 1978, a concert in San Diego. Someone in the crowd throws a small silver cross onto the stage. Bob Dylan picks it up, puts it in his pocket.
Have to get used to it.
The next night, in Tucson, feeling sick and exhausted, he reaches into that pocket, puts the cross on, and feels, alone in a hotel room, something he would later describe as an overwhelming presence. Something he couldn't argue himself out of.
Discover that he really wasn't.
By early 1979, he is attending Bible school 4 days a week at the Vineyard Christian Fellowship in Los Angeles. Not as a rock legend, as a student, taking notes.
How does it feel?
Sitting in a classroom working through the Sermon on the Mount like a man who has finally decided to learn something he doesn't already know everything about.
You know we only used to get juiced in it.
August 1979, Slow Train Coming arrives, and the folk world, the people who had made Dylan their secular prophet, their counterculture conscience,
Like a complete unknown.
the voice of everything searching and unfinished, feel personally, specifically, publicly betrayed. He does not care.
Everybody that was hanging out.
He plays entire tours with nothing from his catalog. Not one song, just gospel material, sometimes preceded by extended sermons from the stage.
Why you gone to the finest school? All right, Miss Lonely, but
Fans walk out by the hundreds. Critics write scorching reviews.
do you want to make her feel?
John Lennon records a parody song called Serve Yourself. Dylan keeps going. And this is what I find most interesting about this period. He has never renounced it. In 2012, directly asked if he still believed in Jesus, he said yes, that the faith simply went back underground. The way most of what matters most about Dylan always lived, beneath the surface, not available for easy quotation. The most decorated songwriter in the history of popular music, Nobel Prize in Literature, a mythology that spans 60 years. And in 1979, he stood on stages across America and told arenas full of people that they needed to make a choice, and sang it at them whether they liked it or not.
He's not selling any alibis.
That is either courage or something adjacent to it. I'll let you decide.
Like a rolling stone.
Number 7, Ozzy Osbourne. His nickname was the Prince of Darkness. He bit the head off a live bat on stage in Des Moines in 1982, thinking it was rubber. He said, it wasn't. He was banned from the city of San Antonio for 10 years for a very specific incident involving the Alamo that I'll let you look up at your own discretion. He fronted Black Sabbath. He was the face of everything parents feared, preachers condemned, and congressional testimony put on record as culturally dangerous. And every single night, before he walked out onto that stage, he got on his knees and prayed. Multiple people who worked alongside him across 4 decades confirm this, and Ozzy said it himself, in print, more than once. He told The Guardian in 2014, "I'm a Christian. I was christened as a Christian. I used to go to Sunday school." There's a 2011 documentary called God Bless Ozzy Osbourne. It ends, not with pyrotechnics, not with a packed arena, with Ozzy alone, closing a door behind him, kneeling down in an empty room, and praying. He kept a copy of the Serenity Prayer on his desk throughout his decades of addiction, said it was the thing that held when nothing else did. His doctors, at various points in his life, described his survival as medically improbable. Here's what I keep coming back to with Ozzy. He never performed as though he actually believed in the darkness he wore. He performed as though he understood that the imagery worked on an audience. The demons were the show. The prayer was the man underneath it. Ozzy Osbourne died on July 22, 2025, at 76, in Birmingham, surrounded by his family, 3 weeks after one final night on stage with the original Black Sabbath lineup. He ended every concert the same way he always had. God bless you. That's not a character. That's a man. Number 6. Blackie Lawless, WASP. In 1984, WASP released a song so extreme that they had to put a parental warning sticker on the cover before parental warning stickers were even an industry concept. Animal, FK, Like a Beast. That song. Tipper Gore's Parents Music Resource Center. The congressional campaign that dragged rock musicians in front of cameras and senators used WASP as one of their central exhibits. Senators held up the album cover. Parents' organizations circulated the lyrics. The whole machinery of moral outrage turned its attention on Blackie Lawless. He loved every minute of it. The horror imagery, the provocation, the full frontal assault on respectable America, that was the brand. The shock was the architecture the band was built on. Here's what you probably didn't know. Blackie Lawless was born again at age 11. His father was a Sunday school superintendent. His uncle was a preacher. His grandfather was a deacon. He walked away from all of it at 18. Said he was angry at God, went into the occult, and then walked away from that too after studying it seriously for a season. And then he spent 2 decades performing as though God was his adversary. The return was gradual and private. He described sitting alone with a Bible, specifically intending to disprove it once and for all, and reading 66 books by 40 different authors across 3 continents, 3 languages, and 2,000 years, and watching them complete each other's sentences. He said he couldn't explain that away. He tried. He publicly renounced Animal. FK like a beast, quoted scripture, announced he would never perform it again, said the silence of that decision was deafening. That song was his most famous moment. His commercial peak, his calling card to an entire generation. I don't have a formula for what it costs to stand up and renounce your most famous moment in public, citing the Bible, but it looks like something real happened. Number 5, Peter Steele, type O negative. Peter Steele was 6 feet 6 inches tall, with a voice so low it registered somewhere closer to architecture than sound. And he spent the better part of 20 years telling anyone who asked that he was an atheist. Type O negative operated at a frequency that doesn't exist anywhere else in rock. Not aggressive, not loud, slow, heavy, beautiful in a way that felt like being inside a grief that was never going to resolve. Black number 1, love you to death, world coming down. You either know exactly what I mean or you don't, and if you know it specifically. And Steele, who wrote most of it, was unambiguous about his worldview. No God, no afterlife, no continuation. Just the weight of everything until the weight stops. Then, 2007. In an interview with Decibel magazine, he said something that stopped people mid-sentence. He said, "There are no atheists in foxholes. I was a foxhole atheist for a long time, but after going through a midlife crisis and having many things change very quickly, I realized my own mortality. And when you start to think about death, you start to think about what's after it. And then you start hoping there is a God. And then, I cannot believe that people like Hitler are going to the same place as Mother Teresa." He went back to the Catholic faith of his Brooklyn childhood, the church he grew up in and had spent 20 years running from. He said he believed in Jesus Christ and God and the whole thing, in his own words, quietly, without fanfare. Peter Steele died on April 14, 2010. He was 48 years old. The remaining members of Type O Negative disbanded rather than replace him. He found his way home. There wasn't much time left, but he made it. And that still gets me. Number 4, Tom Araya, Slayer. If you have ever been within 30 feet of a speaker playing Slayer, you know the sound. That assault, the speed, the guitars operating faster than cognition can follow, the way it sounds, like the structural integrity of the physical world, giving out simultaneously in every direction, and the lyrics. The explicit, specific, wholly committed satanic content, raining blood, angel of death, altar of sacrifice, south of heaven, hell awaits. Albums that put the entire music industry on notice in 1986 and made congressional hearings and parent groups genuinely alarmed about what American teenagers were being handed in record stores. Tom Araya sang every word of it for 40 years. Here's what he said when someone asked him directly about this. "I have a really strong belief system. These are just words, and they'll never interfere with what I believe and how I feel." Tom Araya has been a practicing Catholic his entire life. Stay with me on this one. He grew up in a Chilean Catholic household. He raised his children Catholic. He attends church. He believes in Christ. And when pressed about how a practicing Catholic reconciles 4 decades of the most anti-Christian music in rock history with his personal faith, he said, "People are not in good shape to where they have to question their own belief system because of a Slayer song." Here's the backstory. Kerry King, the guitarist who wrote the majority of those satanic lyrics, is an atheist. The dark imagery was chosen, by the band's own admission, specifically to separate themselves from the hair bands of the 1980s. It was aesthetic, it was strategy, and Tom Araya, devout Catholic, practicing churchgoer, delivered every word of it with total conviction. The frontman of the most explicitly satanic band in rock history was praying before every show. I've turned that fact over in my mind many times. I still can't decide whether to call it ironic or whether to call it the most metal thing I've ever encountered. Probably both. Number 3, Dave Mustaine, Megadeth. In April 1983, Dave Mustaine was handed a bus ticket back to California, told to be out before the rest of Metallica woke up. The decision had already been made while he was asleep. He spent the next 20 years building Megadeth into one of the biggest metal bands on the planet. Fueling it, by his own description, on something that felt like righteous anger. Peace sells, but who's buying? Symphony of destruction, holy wars, the punishment due. These are not small entries in rock history. These are albums that redefined what heavy metal could say, and to how many people, and with what precision. And woven through all of it, through the occult imagery, the dark thematic material, songs like The Conjuring, Calling on Dark Forces by Name, was a man burning through addictions faster than he could catalog them. 2002, Dave Mustaine becomes a born-again Christian, and his first instinct is to draw a hard line. He announces publicly that he will not tour with bands he considers satanic. In metal circles, which are not, by common reputation, congregations, this does not land well. He said later, "When I got saved, there were certain things I didn't know." It's like the old saying, when in doubt, leave it out. He spent years learning what his faith actually required versus what he assumed it required in his first months of conviction. Those turned out to be different things. He eventually softened the touring policy, even went back out with Slayer. He will no longer perform The Conjuring live. He said publicly that he considers the song incompatible with where he is now, regardless of what it meant to the catalog. And here's what I find genuinely compelling about Dave Mustaine's story. He didn't leave Megadeth. He didn't pivot to worship music. He stayed in the room and changed what the room was centered on. That's a harder kind of conviction than the dramatic exit. Number 2, Brian Head Welch, Korn. In 2005, Brian Welch was the lead guitarist of one of the most commercially dominant and culturally disruptive bands of the previous decade. Korn had essentially created a genre, nu metal, that specific frequency of alienation and barely managed rage and pain that felt too real to be performance, spoke directly to an entire generation that felt invisible. It worked the way music rarely gets to work. Millions of people, every arena, every night, singing words back at the stage that felt like they'd been written specifically about their specific life. That's not something you manufacture. That's something that happens when the art and the wound are the same wound. And Welch was fighting a private war the entire time, addicted to Xanax, methamphetamines, alcohol, sleeping pills. Multiple dependencies stacked on top of each other like the architecture for a collapse that was coming. And beneath all of it, a daughter he was raising alone because the marriage was gone. The smell of sacrifice. Here's where it turns. He found Jesus. Not gradually, not ambiguously, not as the conclusion to a long intellectual journey. He later described it as immediate and specific, something that broke through everything he'd been using to manage the damage. No more will I pretend. And then he made a decision that no manager or label executive or publicist could make any sense of. He told Korn he was done. He was leaving, at the height of their career, millions of dollars of future touring on the table. He walked away because he had looked at his daughter and understood, in a way that bypassed argument entirely, that the version of himself living inside that band was not going to survive long enough to raise her. He wrote a book, recorded solo music, came back to Korn in 2012, on his own terms, with his faith intact and unchanged. Here's what I keep coming back to. The conversion isn't the courageous moment. People have experiences. The courageous moment is the morning after, when you walk into that room with the band you built your career inside of and say, "This is not where I'm going." With the cameras on, with everything on the table. That takes something most people never get tested on. Number 1, Alice Cooper. He had a guillotine on stage, a live boa constrictor. Staged executions, fake blood, a horror show so total and so sustained that the persona swallowed the man inside it for the entire decade of the 1970s and beyond. And his father was a pastor. His grandfather was an evangelist. His wife's father was a Baptist minister. He grew up in the church, knowing exactly what the framework was and what it required, and then went as far away from it as the music industry would carry him. At his peak, School's Out, Billion Dollar Babies, the most provocative live show in rock, he was drinking himself quietly toward the end, vomiting blood in the mornings. His wife Cheryl watching it happen from across the room, and then the moment that finally broke through everything else, she packed her bags, stood at the door, said she couldn't be there for this anymore. Alice, real name Vince Vernier, looked in the mirror and called her. He went to his pastor in Phoenix, said, "I think I need to quit being Alice Cooper now." And the pastor said, and I want you to hear this clearly, "Do you think God makes mistakes? Look where he put you, in the camp of the Philistines." Now, what if you are Alice Cooper and you are following Christ? He's been sober for decades, studies the Bible daily, attends church without fail every Sunday morning, runs the Solid Rock Foundation for at-risk teenagers in Phoenix. And he still puts on the makeup, still brings out the guillotine, still performs the show, because nothing in the Gospels says he can't. He calls himself the real prodigal son. He's been saying it for years, without apology, without softening it, without explaining to anyone why the image and the faith can coexist. The godfather of shock rock, the man whose albums church groups burned in the 1970s, on his knees in Phoenix on a Sunday morning,